There are certain truths in football that simply don't change, no matter how much the game evolves. And here's one of them. If your offensive line is bad, there's no real way around it. No scheme, no trick play, no magic tempo is going to hide that for long. It's a flaw that stays on the field, snap after snap, and everyone sees it, especially the quarterback. But when you're talking about a young offensive line that's full of potential, with pedigree, with room to grow and get better, then there's a window of hope. Because in that case, the key isn't to work around it. It's to buy time for it. Time to develop chemistry. Time to settle in. Time to build some confidence. And guess who's the best guy in the NFL to help with that kind of situation? Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers were back at Chuck Noll Field for another training camp session, and it was one of those overcast, cooler days that Mike Tomlin loves to take full advantage of. The practice ran a bit over 2 hours, high tempo, full speed, and physical. And from the moment it started, I made a point of locking in on the offensive line, more specifically, the tackles. Because let's be real, we pretty much know what we're going to get from guys like Zach Frazier at center. The dude's rock solid. Mason McCormick? He's holding his own inside. Isaac Sumalo? Veteran presence. High football IQ. No surprises there. But when it comes to the tackle spots, it's a different story. That's where the questions still live. So I parked myself on the sideline and kept my eyes glued to Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu, alternating play to play. And look, trying to scout offensive line play from the field with no film, no replays, and a bunch of giant bodies in the way, it's borderline impossible. I don't know how coaches manage it live. You're squinting through players trying to track footwork, hand placement, leverage, and doing all that while the rest of the offense is flying around at full speed. But I gave it my best shot. What I saw from Broderick, mixed bag. There was one clear missed assignment, a communication breakdown, it looked like, and another play where he got turned around on an inside zone run, literally facing the wrong direction. Never a good look for a lineman. But other than that, he was fine. Not dominant, not terrible. Just there. Average. You'd probably give him a C if you were grading with a red pen. Now, Fautanu, different story. Every time I caught him in action, he looked strong, confident, especially during the final team drill, which simulated a 2-minute drill, fast-paced, up-tempo, Rodgers calling plays at the line, moving the chains. Fautanu was lined up play after play against none other than T.J. Watt, and he held his ground. He didn't dominate the matchup, obviously. We're talking about T.J. Watt here, but he didn't fold either. He stood tall, kept his technique clean, and didn't look overwhelmed. That matters. That shows something. But here's the crazy part. Despite all that, despite watching the tackles, despite tracking the line play, there's something else that stood out even more. Something that defined the session. And it was this. On about 80% of the snaps during team drills, the tackles didn't even matter. Because the ball was already gone. That's the Rodgers effect. Every single rep with Rodgers under center had this rhythm, this urgency, this timing that's almost surgical. Snap, plant, throw. Snap, step, release. It was fast. It was clean. And it was relentless. The ball barely touched his hands before it was in the air. For anyone who's watched volleyball, think of the setter. They don't hold the ball. They get it, pop it up, and move. One touch. That's it. And Rodgers is doing the football version of that. It's classic him. And it's what he's done for years, even going back to his time in Green Bay and East Rutherford. Nothing new there. What is new, though, is how the rest of this offense is starting to adjust to it. And that's the real development that deserves attention. It's not just about Rodgers doing his thing. It's about the entire unit learning to match that tempo. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, even the offensive line, they're all syncing to his clock now. And in practice, it's starting to show. I talked to Scotty Miller after the session, and I asked him straight up, with Rodgers, is it really just a matter of turning around and expecting the ball to already be there? His answer was clear. Yeah, you got to be ready. As soon as your foot hits the brake, as soon as your head turns around, that ball is going to be on you. That timing is what separates Rodgers from so many others. He can fit the ball into a window that doesn't even exist for most quarterbacks. So the receivers don't just need to run the right route. They need to be exact, sharp, on point. Every cut, every break, Every turn has to be perfectly timed. That alone elevates the urgency across the board. And that urgency? It's not just about the passing game. When Rodgers gets into rhythm, zipping it short here, firing a quick out there, working both sidelines, the defense has no choice but to spread, react, adjust. And that creates something we hadn't seen much of in camp so far: running lanes. Yes, finally, real legit running lanes. Caleb Johnson, who had been grinding through practices without much space to showcase his talent, suddenly looked alive. He was hitting holes, finding daylight, and making plays in the run game. Why? Because the timing of the offense was creating rhythm. Rodgers would zip a pass, zip another, get the linebackers flowing outside. And boom, inside handoff behind Zach Frazier. Suddenly, it wasn't just about trying to survive. It was about creating. And I want to be clear. This doesn't mean the offensive line's problems are magically solved. They're not. You don't bring a future Hall of Fame quarterback just to mask a weakness forever. You still need your big boys up front to improve. You still need those tackles to hold up when the play calls for more than just a quick throw. You still need time to develop the deep game, to stretch the field, to become a balanced offense. They didn't bring in DK Metcalf just to run 5-yard outs all season. He's going to need time to get vertical. He's going to need blocking. He's going to need this line to grow up fast. But here's the thing. The way this is shaping up, it doesn't have to be perfect on day one. What it needs to be is functional. Functional enough to let Rodgers do his thing. Functional enough to keep the offense in rhythm. Functional enough to get through the first month, 3 games plus the trip to Ireland, and into the bye week with some momentum. Because if this offensive line can get to that bye week feeling good about itself, if they can go into that break believing they belong, believing they're improving, then this team's outlook changes dramatically. The identity starts to form. The playbook opens up, and the confidence spreads like wildfire. And that's why, even though the drills might feel routine, even though you're watching training camp reps that won't show up on any highlight reel, this matters. Rodgers matters. Timing matters. Growth matters. Then you look at the younger guys, the bubble players, the ones fighting for reps. For them, this tempo is a gift. It removes the guesswork. If you run your route with precision and turn your head on time, you're getting a chance. Rodgers will find you. And that's creating a really interesting dynamic in these practices, where almost every receiver is getting targeted at some point. No one's invisible. That's not always the case in camp, especially when quarterback play is inconsistent. Sometimes, younger receivers get frozen out. But with Rodgers, the ball's going where it needs to go, regardless of your spot on the depth chart. If you're open, you're getting the ball. Simple as that. And the effect doesn't stop with the pass catchers. The running backs, too, are benefiting, not just because of the spacing created by the quick game, but because of how Rodgers controls the tempo. When a quarterback is consistently on schedule, the defense doesn't get to rest. They can't pin their ears back. They can't guess. One play, Rodgers is zipping a slant to the boundary. The next, it's a delayed handoff right up the gut. And when that kind of rhythm is in place, even a modest offensive line can start to look better. Because they're not being asked to hold blocks for 5 seconds. They're not being left on islands with edge rushers salivating over slow-developing plays. They're being put in positions to succeed, short sets, quick leverage, combo blocks with help. That's why we're seeing guys like Caleb Johnson come alive. His vision and burst were never the issue. What he needed was space. And suddenly, with Rodgers at the helm, he's finding it. You saw it on a handful of runs where the linebackers were late to flow. The safeties were sitting too deep, and boom, there's a crease. He's hitting it fast, getting downhill, and turning what used to be 0-yard gains into solid chunks. Nothing fancy, just good football. And in camp, that's a big deal. But let's not pretend everything is clicking perfectly. This offense, for all its flashes, is still finding its full identity. The protection is inconsistent. The deep shots have been limited. And there are moments where you can feel the timing fray, where a receiver hesitates on a route, or a lineman misses a stunt pickup, or a snap is just a half-second late. Those moments are normal. It's camp. But there are also reminders that Rodgers can't do it alone. He can mask certain flaws. He can create rhythm. He can buy time for the line to grow. But eventually, If this team wants to compete at the highest level, that line has to stop being a liability and start becoming a strength. And I think that's part of the long-term plan here. You don't bring in young, high-upside tackles like Jones and Fatanu just to patch holes. You bring them in to anchor this thing for years. But development isn't linear. There will be days when one of them gets beat badly. There will be plays where the pocket collapses too quickly. That's why Rodgers matters so much. Because he provides a floor, a baseline of competence. He keeps the offense from spiraling when things go wrong. And he's doing it in a way that doesn't stifle development. He's actually enabling it. Now, let's talk about the quarterback room more broadly. Because while Rodgers has been the clear number one, and honestly, the best quarterback in camp, period, there's still a lot going on with the guys behind him. Mason Rudolph has had his moments. He's made some throws, but he's also had some really rough reps. One particular play stands out, an overthrow on a basic dig route that got picked off, and you could see immediately that he knew it. Slapped his helmet, cursed under his breath, walked off the field shaking his head. That kind of mistake in a live scrimmage situation just can't happen. Not from a guy who's supposed to be pushing for a meaningful role. That's where the Rodgers presence looms even larger. Because every throw Mason makes, good or bad, is being compared to the standard that Rodgers is setting every single day. And that's a tough act to follow. You can tell, too, that the players feel it. The receivers run their routes just a little differently when Rodgers is under center. There's a level of trust. With Mason, it's more cautious, more reactive. It's subtle, but it's there, and it says a lot about who's in command. Then there's Will Howard, who honestly had been progressing quietly but steadily until things took a turn. During a play that, ironically, showcased some of the best footwork and arm strength he's put on tape all camp, a rollout right, pressure at his face, and a laser up the sideline. He came up shaking his hand. Not a normal shake-off-the-sting type of reaction. This was different. Immediate discomfort. He kept moving his fingers, trying to reset something, but you could tell something was off. Moments later, it was confirmed. Jammed hand on the exchange. Out for 3 weeks. And just like that, his entire preseason vanished. That's brutal. Not just for him, but for the staff, for the fans, for the evaluation process as a whole. Because Howard is a developmental piece. He's not expected to start this year, but he was supposed to get real snaps in preseason games, live bullets, real reads, and FL speed. That's gone now. And instead of showcasing his growth, he'll spend the next few weeks watching from the sidelines, nursing the hand, waiting for scout team reps. That's not nothing, but it's a setback. And it underscores just how thin the margin is in the NFL. One jammed finger, and your opportunity disappears. So now the room looks like this. Rodgers is the starter. Mason is the backup, maybe more by default than by dominance. Howard is the project, now shelved. And the team has to navigate the rest of this camp with only one active reserve passer behind Rodgers. That complicates things. That changes the way you structure drills. That forces more reps on Mason, which might be good for him, or might expose him even more. We'll see. But regardless of what happens behind Rodgers, the real story, the only story that matters, is what he's doing right now. The zip is there. The accuracy is ridiculous. He's still manipulating defenses like a puppet master, using his eyes, his cadence, his body language. That hasn't changed. The one question everyone had, can he still throw it, has been answered loudly. Yes, he can still throw it. And not just 10-yard outs. He's hitting tight windows, throwing across his body, putting the ball only where his guys can get it. He's not running around like he did a decade ago, sure. The legs aren't the same, but they don't need to be, because he's navigating the pocket with subtle shifts, with awareness, with control. He's healthy. He's locked in. And maybe more importantly, he looks happy, comfortable, like a guy who knows exactly what he signed up for and is enjoying the challenge of proving people wrong one more time. So what does it all mean? It means the Steelers are in a unique position. They've got a Hall of Famer at the helm, young talent all over the field, and a clear identity starting to form. They're not perfect, far from it, but they're not lost either. They have a direction, a blueprint. And with each passing day, That blueprint is getting clearer. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The sports world is buzzing with speculation after reports surfaced that Jordan Mailata, the talented offensive tackle, has arrived at the Pittsburgh Steelers headquarters to finalize a contract signing. This news has ignited a frenzy among fans and analysts alike, fueling rumors about the potential impact Mailata could have on the Steelers' offensive line. The timing of his arrival is particularly intriguing, considering the Steelers' recent struggles with pass protection and run blocking, which have been focal points during the offseason. While no official announcement has been made yet, insiders suggest that the deal is close to completion, prompting widespread anticipation that the Steelers might be on the verge of a significant roster upgrade. The buzz around Mailata's arrival has led many to speculate about how his unique blend of size, athleticism, and experience could transform the Steelers' offensive dynamics in the upcoming season. There's a palpable sense of excitement in Pittsburgh, as supporters hope that this move might signal a renewed commitment to strengthening the trenches and providing better protection for their quarterback. The speculation extends beyond just the technical aspects of Mailata's game. Fans are also curious about the contract details, such as its length and financial terms, which could reveal how invested the Steelers are in his long-term development. This potential signing has already become a hot topic on sports talk shows and social media platforms, with debates swirling around whether Mailata's addition could be the missing piece to a more dominant offensive front. As the Steelers await the official confirmation, the rumor mill continues to churn, hinting at a pivotal moment that could reshape the team's fortunes. The arrival of Jordan Mailata at the Steelers facility is more than just a transaction. It represents a possible turning point that has everyone eager to see how this storyline unfolds in the days to come. The atmosphere surrounding Jordan Mailata's reported signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers is thick with anticipation, as fans and analysts weigh the implications of this potential addition. Mailata, known for his remarkable journey from a rugby player in Australia to a formidable NFL offensive tackle, brings a unique narrative that captivates many. This potential deal raises questions about how the Steelers plan to utilize his talents, especially given the team's strategic needs on the offensive line. Rumors are swirling that Mailata's presence could provide much-needed stability and depth, possibly addressing the vulnerabilities that have plagued the Steelers in recent seasons. The timing of this development, occurring during a critical phase of roster building, suggests that the Steelers' management is actively pursuing upgrades to solidify their offensive front. Discussions among insiders hint that Mailata's skill set could complement the existing players, fostering a more cohesive and resilient unit. Additionally, there's speculation about how this move might affect the Steelers' salary cap and overall team chemistry, factors that are crucial in shaping a competitive squad. The excitement is palpable, with many envisioning Mailata's size and agility creating new opportunities in both pass protection and run blocking schemes. As the news continues to circulate, social media buzz is reaching a fever pitch, with fans eagerly dissecting every possible outcome of this signing. Analysts are also pondering whether this acquisition signals a shift in the Steelers' long-term strategy, potentially laying the groundwork for sustained success. The rumor of Jordan Mailata joining the Steelers adds a compelling chapter to the offseason narrative, fueling endless speculation about what lies ahead for this storied franchise. In light of the recent reports that Jordan Mailata has arrived to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the sports community is rife with conjecture regarding the strategic motivations behind this move. The Steelers, a franchise known for its storied history and competitive spirit, appear to be taking a calculated risk by potentially bringing in Mailata, a player whose unconventional path to the NFL has garnered much attention. Rumors suggest that the Steelers' coaching staff sees in Mailata a blend of raw talent and untapped potential that could be harnessed to rejuvenate the offensive line. This prospective signing is particularly intriguing because it coincides with a period of transition for the team, which has been searching for consistency and reliability in key positions. Observers are debating how Mailata's physical attributes and playing style will mesh with the Steelers' offensive schemes, and whether his presence could inspire improved performances from his teammates. Furthermore, there is widespread speculation about how this addition could influence the team's draft and free agency plans, possibly signaling a more aggressive approach to roster enhancement. Fans are also curious about the impact on team dynamics, wondering if Mailata's personality and background will integrate smoothly within the locker room culture. The arrival of such a distinctive player at this juncture hints at a broader strategy to inject fresh energy and competitive edge into the team. The rumor mill continues to churn with theories about how this signing might unfold in practice and translate into on-field success. As the Steelers move closer to finalizing the contract, the football world watches keenly, eager to see if this gamble pays off and marks the beginning of a new era for Pittsburgh. The buzz surrounding Jordan Mailata's anticipated signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers has sparked a multitude of discussions about the potential ripple effects on the team's performance and future prospects. With Mailata reportedly on the cusp of joining the Steelers, many are speculating about how his arrival could alter the dynamics of the offensive line, which has been a source of concern for the franchise in recent seasons. This rumored acquisition is seen by some as a strategic masterstroke, potentially addressing critical weaknesses and providing a foundation for improved offensive productivity. The timing of this development also fuels speculation about the Steelers' broader off-season strategy, with rumors suggesting that management is keen to bolster key positions through targeted additions. Analysts are debating whether Mailata's unique skill set, which combines agility and size, will complement the existing roster and enable the Steelers to implement more versatile offensive schemes. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.